It's that time of the year that typically we're preparing for commencement exercises, baccalaureates, graduation open houses, awards, banquets. I remember well in my own high school days planning in this season what was next. Well, often we would be asked to stand in front of our classmates, sometimes their families and friends, and to share with them our plans. It typically sounds something like this. I plan to go to such and such a university, get a degree in such and such a field, and pursue a career in, and the statement would be made, accounting, medicine, whatever it might be. Well, I don't have to tell you that a lot of the time, the plans do not go as planned. I graduated with some classmates who did not share plans, but rather they had already decided. They had made decisions what they were going to do with their life, and they did it. And they adjusted the plans to see to it that the decision would be fulfilled. Well, that's pretty cool. And it simply reminds me of a statement that I want you to get a hold of today. Plans change. Plans change, but decisions don't. A couple plans to get married, have 3 children, live in the house on the hill. And often those plans do not work exactly as they planned. And when the plans fall apart, sometimes the marriage, the home does too. But it's a different thing when a decision is made. A decision that I will be a good spouse. I will be a good father. I will be a good mother. I will take care of my spouse, whatever happens. If we need counseling, whatever it takes, I am committed to having a family that is whole and healthy. That's a difference in plans and a decision. In the Bible, there is a story in 2 Chronicles, the 33rd and the 34th chapters. And it's a wonderful story. But it opens in chapter 33 with a guy named Manasseh. And we simply read the words that Manasseh was 12 years old. He's just a kid. And he becomes king of Judah, and this 12-year-old will rule in Judah for 55 years, and he will spend those 55 years doing evil. He will be a destructive, bad, evil person. And he grows old and dies, and he has a son named Ammon, who succeeds him and becomes king of Judah. And in the end of the 33rd chapter, listen to these words. We'll read about Ammon. He was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 2 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father Manasseh had done. And the reason that Ammon only is king for 2 years is because he gets assassinated. And after his assassination, he has a boy named Josiah, and Josiah is put on the throne as king of Judah. And chapter 34 opens with these words, Josiah was 8 years old when he became king. And then we read these words. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, not turning aside to the right or to the left. An 8-year-old kid. And it seems to me that this kid who could not have known much at all about plans, planning how to run a kingdom, planning how to lead, his examples had all been bad examples. And though he may not know how to plan, he decided. He decided. Well, if you take time and read through that 34th chapter of 2nd Chronicles, and I highly recommend it. It's a great story. Well, in the 8th year of his reign, it says, that would have made him around 16 years old, he becomes aware that there's a whole bunch of places that there are other gods and idols and places where people go to worship other gods. And man, he goes on the attack. And I mean, they destroy, obliterate, break these things into dust, scatter the dust. He destroys anything that violates worshiping the one true God. Well, as he's in this process, he is in his 18th year, it tells us in verse 8, so that would have made him around 26 years old. And he's destroyed these evil places, and he decides that they need to repair the temple of the Lord his God. So he issues the mandate, and they go in, they begin to clean things up, haul out the junk, get ready to restore this temple of the Lord to its intended splendor. Well, as they're doing this, the priest spies or finds the book of the law, or the words of the Lord that had been given to Moses. And they get that book out, and he takes God's word to Josiah, this 20-some-year-old king. Well, man, when he read that, he was devastated. I mean, it says that he tore his clothes, and he gave the orders of the changes that need to occur. Well, I believe the reason that he tore his clothes and he's devastated, he had already made a decision to follow the Lord, and he just received new information and how they were supposed to live. Well, it's a fascinating story. But I just want to take you to the end of it quickly. In the 34th chapter, we would read that Josiah removed all of the detestable idols from all the territory belonging to the Israelites, and he had all who were present in Israel, everyone there. He had everyone serve the Lord, and notice this, for his whole life, as long as he lived, they did not fail to follow the Lord, the God of their fathers. It's an amazing thing to me. An 8-year-old kid put on the throne without the ability, without the understanding, with a history that absolutely has destined him to failure. But he makes a decision. He makes a decision that not only changes everything for him, but for all of God's people to be turned in a right direction. So I want to say again, plans change. Our plans have been changed. We have plans of what we're going to do when we're able to come together again and worship as the family of faith here at Clare Church of the Nazarene. Our plans have been changed. But our decision has not. Our decision to be committed to being a healthy, caring, loving family of believers, looking out for one another, guiding and helping one another to become followers of Christ. That decision will not change, but rather has been reinforced. Well, I have to tell you that I grew up with a lot of religious background. My father was a pastor, and I always had plans that one day I would get my life right with God, that one day I would get things straightened out, and that when I faced eternity, that I would be right with God. That was my plan. But those plans got delayed and put on the back burner and put on the back burner, and years went by. Well, I'm glad to be able to tell you today that for me, and it's not because I was so smart or so wise, but when my world fell apart and my way and my plans were not working, I remember very clearly the day that I made a decision, that I would be a follower of Jesus Christ, and that I would live my life the way that he directed. And it's absolutely the best decision that I ever made. I understand right now that for many of you, your plans have fell apart. Your plans have not been able to be completed. And I'm sure not telling you that that's okay. But I would ask that as we understand that plans change, consider making a decision for Christ that will not change. I know many of you decided a long time ago. You decided that whatever happens, I will serve the Lord. And that's an incredible, wonderful decision. But I'm sure that there are some of you who've never made that decision. You may have planned. You may have planned one day. What if today is the day that you decide, that you make the decision, that you will follow Christ, and that whatever happens to your plans, I will follow him. I will serve him. I just want to encourage you, if you've made that decision, and we can talk or pray with you, I just want to encourage you to contact our email, and we can set up a Zoom meeting to visit with you, pray with you, discuss these things with you. Because I just want to tell you today, nothing is more important than deciding that whatever else happens, that I will commit my life to Christ and build my life around his direction and his purpose and his plans. Plans change. Decisions don't.